Well, it's news because we haven't covered it here yet, but now it's like a week old. But
They exited on last Friday,
yeah,
so we're doing this on a
yeah,
Friday morning. So yeah, it was
yeah,
a week
yeah.
late, but
But I've had time to reflect. The interesting thing of all the things we've predicted over this past year, this series went exactly like you and I discussed it. We had said, I know I had said, I'm like, there's no way it's not going 5 games. They've been too even all year. They're like, from a statistics standpoint, that's flat. Like everything counterbalances something.
yeah,
You had Max Muncy go out, then you had Brandon Belt go out. Like
yeah.
like everything canceled everything out and like it was a great series. But the only thing that I was wrong about was the fact I thought because the Dodgers had home field advantage that game 5, you know, would be a Dodgers win. It would be a Giants win because the
Giants
Giants
had
had
home field,
home field advantage. Yeah, sorry,
right?
Giants had home field advantage. But here's the interesting thing about the games. Like they were like the Dodgers victories in over the 2 wins over the first 4 games are dramatically different from the Giants victories. And here's the interesting thing. Like game 1, the Giants pitching, of course, shows up. They win 4-0. They just completely shut down the Dodgers offense. But then in game 2 at home in San Francisco for the Giants, the Dodgers come out swinging and club them to death 9-2. Then it's just like a yin yang series. Then game 3, the Giants pitching shows up again and they win 1-0. Like they again
Yeah.
completely just shut down the Dodgers. So, okay, momentum back to the Giants. Then you go, and that's in Dodger Stadium. Then you go to the next night in game 4, and the Dodgers kick the shit out of them 7-2. It was just bizarre in nature, kind of like the series had gone all year. And
Well,
then
we're
you
seeing
get,
that continue in the championship
yeah,
series in
right,
both
exactly.
leagues right now. So
Like and we'll talk about this more in a little bit, but like, yeah, one night the Dodgers offense shows up, and the other night it can't be found. So, um, we'll see how that plays out. But then game 5. And for what was such a back and forth series, the most frustrating thing about game 5 was really how it ended, with the entire nation basically disagreeing with Gabe Morales's ringing up of
Wilmer
we
Flores,
have Wilmer Flores
is that
saying
his name?
saying he went around on what was a check swing third strike.
Obvious check swing that he did not. He definitely checked. I mean, there was not even close. I, I think that is definitely the most memorable, and that's the biggest takeaway from the series. But that's not why you lost Game 5 or lost the series. I mean, he was down 0-2 in the count. You were down roughly.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that with the way that series was a battle, that's a shitty
Yeah,
way
it is.
for the series to end.
It's awful.
Like I didn't see any Dodgers comments, but I would imagine most of the players of the Dodgers would kind of agree also,
Oh,
from the standpoint of like, I don't, he's still in a hole, right? No matter what,
yeah.
even if and there's no, I'm not saying like, oh, the Giants would have come back and won. Probably not, actually. The Dodgers seem to
I don't
have
think
them
he had
that
a
game.
chance against Scherzer in that at bat, no matter what. But still,
Yeah,
it's such a sour, ridiculous way for a series to end. What'd you win, 150 games this year? I mean, to have that
yeah,
kind of team go out on a call like that is just brutal. But
yeah.
again, that's not why you lost necessarily.
No,
But what I think the most consequential thing from that is I think we're going to have more instant replay. The idea that play is not reviewable is baffling. Like, why can't you challenge the first base? I mean, it's a judgment call, but we've got the
I
camera angle right there that shows the
yeah.
world that he was wrong. So why can't we review that?
I've got a speedier solution. Remove the third base and first place ump and just leave it with the home plate umpire. If
Well,
he thinks he went, he went. If he didn't, he didn't. A lot of times, even as
and
they're
then allow it to be reviewable.
no, Forget
Well, you're going to run
just
into the same issue
well,
again.
then you should review balls and strikes. I mean,
Well, they're
like,
going to take care of that with the electronic strike zone, where that won't be reviewable.
well,
But
maybe within that technology, since there is a camera overhead, you'd be able to tell if the batter swung too. Everything's solved. Boom. Thank
technology.
you. Technology saves the
It's just
day.
it's just rude. I mean, you see check swing calls that are borderline, and you know, we take our own biases, and oh, that's clearly he clearly swung, or he clearly did not. But there's no way that even any Dodgers fan could look at that and think that he didn't check his swing on that. So
Yeah,
I've never seen that bad in any situation, let alone that critical of situation. That call get blown so bad. Like I'm wondering what did they interview the ump after that? Did he explain what he thought? Did he have
I
remorse like Jim Joyce after
no,
he
I've not seen anything when I searched Gabe Morales. I mean, I told you that night he had a reservation at the wine bar across the street and needed to fricking get there,
yeah,
man.
it's just
He had
unreal.
the wine bar you and I almost had a drink at.
Yeah, hopefully that's not there anymore, and they have
That
some
is true. This was
beer
what,
establishments
like
around
12
there now.
years ago? Was that
Yeah,
12 years ago, maybe? I
it
don't
might be more than that.
know. So, yes, I'm going on my last visit to San Francisco 12 years ago. I'm
I think that was
assuming
2005, so
everything's exactly the same.
yeah, so it's again, that's just a brutal way to lose a game, but I think it might lead to more expanded replay. I mean
I
that
mean, it's yeah, something like whether they need to replay it or whether there's just something to measure it,
technology that can figure it out.
technology that can just measure it because
But again, have you ever seen
not
a
something
first
that
or third
bad.
base ump blow it that bad? I mean, it
No,
was.
well, I mean, yeah, probably a case. Well, no, most of the time they're borderline,
I
right?
think they're
It's
most of the
like,
time they're correct, and most of the time
eh,
most of the time they get appealed. It's borderline, so I'm surprised that was even
no,
appealed.
that's what I mean. Most of the time it's a borderline. So if they call it a strike, you're kind of like, I could see it going either way or whatever.
And
But
you'd think the home plate ump in that scenario, he could see right there. He did not go. Could he
yeah,
overrule once an appeal is made? He can't overrule the first base.
I don't believe so.
No, they need to revisit that whole process because that just it can't happen. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, this is a major league sport
Uh,
in America, that $1 billion industry, that you make that kind of error in
well,
that situation. It's just it's so bad.
and not to fast forward to what we're going to cover after the break, but we're seeing like blatantly missed strikes in the
Wow.
playoffs right now too.
I think I've got a theory about that. I mean, this goes in the same conversation, but that is why we are going to have the electronic strike zone maybe as soon as next year, because it's obvious that, th- and I don't believe that umpires are worse at calling balls and strikes. It's just we have the technology now that everyone on their in their couch can see exactly how bad umpires have always been, because it's an impossible job to call balls and strikes at balls going 100 miles an hour with all sorts of movement. It's just impossible for humans to do it properly. Where it is, we have the technology now to have the umpires aided by technology to tell them if it's a ball or a strike. So it's just that instant replay. You've got HD TVs, you've got slow motion cameras, we've got
Yeah,
the graphics showing the box, showing the cube, and you can see exactly what's a ball and strike. Let's use the technology. Let's get rid of the human element adjudicating the game, and let the human element of the players take over instead of the umpires. So I think it's coming. I think that's one thing we're getting out of this playoffs, and out of that horrific call: expansion of replay and the aid of uh, electronic elements aiding the umpires. So it's a bitter pill to swallow for you guys to go out on a note like that, but I think there's going to be improvement in the game overall because of it.
yeah, and we're not going to cover this today, but you know, the early exit um, on a season that everyone, I'm not sure the Giants thought this, but I would say, was going to be more of like a rebuild, retool type of season. after winning that amount of games, but then the early exit from the playoffs, you just are curious what this offseason is going to look like,
Yeah, how
especially
many
since there were so many like 1 year
that
flyer type of
that's
deals.
what I was gonna
And
say. How many players did you have on one-year deals or expiring
yeah,
contracts, kinda
so
like the Cubs?
I didn't really. I'm saving that for like when we get into more of the postseason, like what our teams might do type of
We have a
situation.
we have a long winter in front of us, so
Yes,
yes.
yes, yes. So we'll cover that down the road, folks. I mean, the one thing
Stay
that
tuned.
stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned out there, fans. But one thing we can say is Logan Webb has emerged as a
Mm.
legit number 1 starter, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't go back and revisit the pregame show. But I think Logan Webb was the guy I kind of called out the beginning of the year, who was like such a question mark and had like that Tim Lincecum makeup, which
Oh.
they like to go after a lot, but then never materializes. Like all the last 4 were failed attempts, so maybe it's like every five Tim Lincecum type pitchers end up okay for the Giants.
Mhm.
So he's definitely someone to build the staff around as like a bit of a teaser going into what we'll be talking about in the offseason. And then, of course, the return of the rejuvenated Brandon Crawford. So
Yeah.
the rest of it's all like a big ass mystery. So, and if you're the Giants, you got to consider like, was San Diego season more of an anomaly due to injuries and stuff like
Mm.
that, then I mean they are not a team to be forgotten. So you got there's a lot for the Giants to consider this offseason.